Mr. Zuckerberg, let me start with you. Did I hear you say in your opening statement that there's no link between mental health and social media use?
This constant exposure is not good for the developing mind of young people. This also would include really bad cases of like cutting and things like that.
And so you're seeing a correlation between this and social media.
We're not supposed to be in a fish tank ourselves.
The Instagram families, everything looks completely perfect.
It was one about a Mormon family, and the lady, the mother, she was pushing it out and getting all these views, and everybody saw her like this perfect mother.
Weird things started happening. Ruby said the children were demonically possessed.
Social media fries your brain. Absolutely destroys it, absolutely kills it, so why are we still doing it? Dr. Walsh, Eric Walsh, thank you so much for joining us. You've done many topics, conversations about social media on the brain. Let's get into it.
Yes, this is a major topic, and as a physician, as well as someone who preaches, we are seeing the ramifications of the last 15, 16 years of excessive social media use. And so now, as a church, I think, and as a society, maybe even more importantly, we have to begin to start looking at what's happening and bringing things back. I was listening to something by one of the governors, I think she's the governor of Arkansas, Huckabee, and she was saying that, they're about to ban smartphones and cell phones in schools, and that there are other states that are looking at doing this, because after a while now the science is beginning to pile up that in fact this constant exposure is not good for the developing mind of young people who, as we know, their frontal lobe doesn't fully develop until they're about 25 years old. So you have this new thing. It's like an experiment in the human saga that has launched on the scene, and it has changed everything. And so I want to start, if we can just look at kind of some of what's happened. This is the teen depression statistics in the U.S. When you look at it, 20% of American teenagers experience depression. 50% increase in teenage depression between 2011 and 2015. So we've been watching this change. And here's U.S. teens with major depression. You can see that there's been a massive increase. What I want the audience to look at is, when does this thing begin to really change? Look here, and you can see that it's flat at about 2010. It starts to come up. That's major depression. These are U.S. teens admitted and hospitalized for non-fatal self-harm, right, between ages 10 and 14. And you can see for girls, massive increase by 2020. And this doesn't even include the mental health damage experienced and overlays this during the pandemic.
So this is just like attempts of self-deletion, or
some of it, exactly.
Oh,
that
man.
and this probably, this also would include really bad cases of like cutting and things like that, which I've seen in practice.
And so you're seeing a correlation between this and social media.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this same study, I don't know if you're going to show this or not, but they even looked at socioeconomic status. I mean, they were trying to understand, well, is it just like a certain demographic of people that are experiencing that? And they went through and looked at like location, race, this, that. I mean, dude, all of them. It was
Everything.
like all of them, same thing.
There's another one, though. Look at anxiety. This is a big
Wow.
one. In fact, in Luke 21, Jesus says, men's hearts failing them for fear.
Yeah.
Anxiety is an end-time hallmark.
Yeah.
And you can see here that when you look at it, these are massive increases in anxiety prevalence. In fact, in some studies, it's the #1 reason overall for people to see a doctor in the United States.
Yeah.
Anxiety is a massive thing. And so you can see here, 1 in 5 U.S. teens experience depression. So I want to let's look at the timeline of this thing. Here's a great graphic, the evolution of smartphones.
2007. Yep.
Bam.
I remember in the 80s and 90s, like you just had this like huge telephone thing. It looked like you were like in the Vietnam or something, And then it moved to like this little bag that you could carry around in your car. And I always thought that was cool. Like, whoa, you could make a telephone call from your car.
Yeah.
And then eventually they released in the late 2000s the iPhone. And I was just watching a video of Steve Jobs explaining that they will no longer, like the other phones before, like BlackBerries had actual keyboards on them, buttons on them. He's like, we're not going to do this anymore. It's just going to be a flat screen, he explains, and it's new technology that allow you to basically do data input directly onto this flat screen. And he said it. It's going to change everything.
Yep.
It has.
And he was right.
Yep.
I'm one of those statistics you were showing earlier, because like I'm from the Netherlands. And I remember when I think Google bought YouTube, and it was on the news, and I watched it and I was like, what's YouTube? It was like not that big of a thing yet. And so there was this particular trend in the Netherlands, and I was like, I'll make a funny video about that, put it on YouTube, lost my password, couldn't get back in to remove it, like tried all kinds of ways to get my password back. Here it was, and everybody in my school saw it. And I was looking silly and stupid, and I got bullied, and I got severely depressed.
Mercy.
And so you can see, this was like the early 2000s. That was when this was just becoming a thing. There was no Instagram, like Facebook was barely alive, barely a thing for people my age at the time. Like it was like some people had it, some people didn't. Now that's way worse. Now you put something out there and the world sees it,
And I think it's really emboldened people to like be mean, because if you're not standing there face to face with somebody, people kind of can be like this, like super horrible on a keyboard, and they probably would never do that to your face.
Oh no. This and I mean we kind of experienced it. We saw this massive increase in all of the different. Some of these like TikTok isn't. Twitter isn't even Twitter anymore.
Right.
And so the big question comes here: is social media actually bad for your health?
I believe it.
Yeah,
100%.
Well, I think like anything, right? The majority of how people use this technology is probably like super bad. There are people that, we use social media. We put things out on it. Churches use social media. They, put their sermons on it and stuff like that. So, I think it's the way that people are putting this information out and digesting this information in this very selfish way that's making it. But I want to just throw that comment out there. I think that there are some people that are actually putting good things out there.
This is true. This is true. Technically, YouTube is a form of social media. We post shorts sometimes, and there's ways to use social media for good.
Yeah.
But
you go on someone's social media site and it's all like, look at me, look at the vacation I'm on, look at the new clothes I bought.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a bad use of the technology.
But it's like television, as we'll talk about later. But television in general, it has these inherent characteristics that weakens the mind.
It does.
Right? Mm-hmm. But you can use television for good, right? If you think about like Amazing Facts or when C.D. Brooks used to be on TV preaching, reaching millions of people in ways you otherwise just couldn't. Yeah. But we have to understand that each one of these is a tool, and the devil loves these tools. So we can use them, but we have to respect the tool.
That's right. And understand how it works. If you don't understand how it works, you could easily get sucked down a road that's like, you don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so there's a lot now on the mental health and its impacts from all of this. This is the World Health Organization basically saying, listen, we've got to change the way we look at it. This isn't like American. They're like globally, this is creating fits, is what the World Health Organization is saying. And even teenagers themselves, this study, are worried they spend too much time on their phone. So even the teenagers are like, man, I wish I didn't spend so much time on my phone.
You spoke about schools contemplating not having this. I've actually been to some schools where they do not let them have phones, boarding academies where you have to surrender the phone when you go there. Yep. And then I think if you go home on the weekends or whatever like that, they can give you the phone back. And I asked the students directly straight out, do you like this? And they said, we love it. It's like that pressure off of you, and you can actually like engage in your relationships. And nowadays, like a happening party is like people doing this.
Yeah. When you go to a restaurant and you see married couples on a date and that's what they do.
Yeah, it's sad.
And it's like, I'm sitting there with my husband. I'm like, well, but that's sad. Yeah. Where is the connection between two people that are in love?
Culturally, we're losing the art of just communicating.
Right.
Yep. And it's going to impact young people even more, because many of them are going to be asked at some point to step out of the virtual world into the real world. And we're already seeing there are a lot of things changing fast. For example, marriages are happening later and later, to your point, but even intimacy. So if you go back to the 60s and 70s and 80s, you saw kind of a graph of the increases. It wasn't nearly as bad as we thought it was among teenagers. Increases in actual sexual involvement. Now it's going down.
Because they get it online?
Because they're finding ways to do all this stuff through online pornography, social media, the connections they want, they can get that same dopamine play without ever having to be vulnerable to an actual person.
And this is the problem, because when you follow organizations like Fight the New Drug, they talk about how people in the minds of people who watch porn on a regular basis, the women in the porn videos become products. And they even have t-shirts that says people over products, which I highly respect. I really appreciate that. But yeah, like you basically objectify the person instead of it like, no, this is actually an individual that has feelings, that has emotions. That's a creation of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, God made us social, and He made us like the relationship was always from the beginning. Like, you know, He creates Adam, and He's like, you know, even with all of this beauty and everything like this, it's still not good for him to be alone, and created him a wife, you know. And so it's like from the onset, we have this need for social interaction. It's like the devil has just artificially like pacified us.
Yeah.
And it's really frightening because when you look at how the church survives the time of trouble, you have to be able to connect to those who will strengthen you and disconnect from those who won't.
Yes.
Social media is going to make that, or I should say an addiction to social media is going to make that process much more difficult.
Yeah, true.
So let me hear a couple of the scientific things here. This is one of the studies from one of the Surgeon General's advisory, I think. Key takeaways from their social media use young people is nearly universal. Up to 95% of young people aged 13 to 17 report using a social media platform. Nearly 2/3 of teenagers report using social media every day, and 1/3 report using social media
almost constantly.
Yeah,
Wow.
I can't remember what the statistic is of how often people check their phones, but it was like every 5 or 10 minutes or something like that. I mean, all day long. And I saw this like really funny video one time, and the psychologist was talking about it and saying, you know, you're sitting here scrolling like this on your phone, right? Let's say you had a dog or a cat. I mean, if your dog or cat was sitting in the corner of your room, sitting there doing this, you'd think something was wrong with it. You know what I mean? It's like, what a weird world we live in that's what people are doing.
And the way that they design social media is so that you scroll up.
Yeah.
Because inherently, as a human, you think, if I'm doing that, I'm going to hit a bottom.
Yeah.
There's got to be a floor to it.
Yeah.
And so they've designed it so that when you do this, you're waiting to reach a floor that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And with each thing you view, we don't realize we're sending data back to these companies as to what we're interested in. So now they populate it with more of what you're interested in. And I don't know if it's just an old wives' tale or an urban legend, but my wife and I find this all the time. We'll say something in the house.
Oh yeah.
Pick up the phone, and I'm like, Jackie, weren't we talking about buying one of these?
Yep.
Look at this, it's advertised on this. And we're like,
so
that's
true.
weird.
Yeah.
So,
Everybody's experienced it.
Yeah.
so this thing it's connecting us. And I want to remember that I want us to be reminded that one day we will not be able to buy and sell unless we have the mark of the beast.
That's right.
And you can see already that in a way that would have been inconceivable when that verse was taught in the 60s, 70s, or even the 80s. That verse has new meaning today because of the way we do business through smartphones and social media, on and on and on. So I want to just highlight this. This one says, social media presents a meaningful risk of harm to youth while also providing benefits, to your point earlier. The types of use and content children and adolescents are exposed to pose mental health concerns. Children and adolescents who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media face double the risk of mental health problems, including experiencing symptoms of depression and anxiety. This is concerning, as a recent survey showed that teenagers spend an average of 3.5 hours a day on social media. 3 hours is the threshold for mental health problems. The average is 3.5. And when asked about the impact of social media on their body image, 46% of adolescents aged 13 to 17 said social media makes them feel worse.
Wow.
I can't imagine.
I believe it. Because everybody's only putting their best moments on there.
And the filters, I don't know anything about this, but I remember somebody did a picture of me and put a filter and maybe gave you like doggy ears and I said, man, you better take that thing down. That's crazy looking. And so, it was just on their phone, but I think you gotta take it off. So these filters can actually make people look even, I guess you can actually correct people like CGI? I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen like collages of people that would show you what they really look like and then what they, and it's just like, wow, that's totally cheating. And so then if you're always seeing all these like beautiful people, how can you not be like, well, I know I don't look like that, you know? And it's like, just psychologically, you feel less than or broken. And
well, and I think that there's also something for everybody, because for the teenagers, it's like the other women who are like really skinny and all that kind of stuff. But like for my age category, you know, I'm married and no kids yet, but maybe in the future. And then they have like the Instagram families. With like the Christian, even the Christian Instagram families who have like the perfect lifestyle. They live in Hawaii. They're like surfing with their kids and they have like Bible verses stuff. But like everything looks completely perfect, and they're all models, you know. And so it's like you probably have arguments with your spouse at some point, and you probably have a kid that starts crying. You have to have a poopy diaper, but that's not being shown. So it's like a perfect utopia, and I'm sure that does something with your brain. Yeah. You know,
there was a documentary. Man, was it on Netflix or on Amazon? But there was one, and someone suggested it, so we watched it. And it was one about a Mormon family, and the mother, she did like you're describing. So she had like this perfect thing. They had all these kids, and the kids would perform things and do things, and she was pushing it out and getting all these views, and everybody saw her as like this perfect mother. By the time this documentary is over, I mean, it spooked me. Like she moves this woman in, and the woman, I guess, is attracted to the mother, to move the father out of the bedroom. Just a crazy story, and I'm glad I don't remember the name of it because maybe nobody should watch it. But the woman that comes in is actually demon possessed.
Oh wow!
What?
And you can hear on this documentary, which is just a regular documentary, this demon possession, the woman speaking in the voice of the demon.
What?
And by the end of it, the family's completely destroyed. And the whole point of documentary is, it started like you said. This family was supposed to be like this perfect family. But by shining all this attention on the kids, it destroyed the kids. It destroyed the marriage. It destroyed everything. Because we're not supposed to be in a fish tank ourselves. Right? And when you focus everything on you, one, you get an exaggerated sense of self. Right? And you want more and more and more. So what I'm not talking about here is the dopaminergic, the brain side of this. There's a hit that you get in your brain, a release of dopamine and pleasure every time you pick up your phone and see that you have a message from someone. Or you get, what they say really gets you is when you pick up your social media and there's a like. Or you start tracking how many views you've gotten and it's growing, or the likes are growing and people are making good comments. There's a dopamine release. It's almost, and dopamine is the neurochemical of addiction. So now you get to a point where you need more and more and more. Well, how do you get more and more likes, more and more views? You have to begin to transform yourself in what you think people will like and watch. So you by default, you're now taking yourself and changing yourself. We are either molding our minds to receive the seal of God or the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is a statement that I want to be liked by the world.
Yeah.
And social media, to me, prepares the mind for that.
That's true. I think life is daily little choices that are like repetitiously setting you up for something down the road. And that's an excellent point. I haven't really thought of it from that perspective, but every single thing that you do is preparing you for that stand. And if you can't stand on social media, you're getting swayed left and right, or you're posting things that I don't really believe that, but I don't want to be honest with what I actually believe about that. Yeah, that's going to be a hard time when you come to that point that you really need to make a choice.
Right.
Before we came on, we were talking about what I went through with the city of Pasadena and the state of Georgia.
Real quick, for our viewers, just real quick cap.
So I was invited to be the commencement speaker for a college in Southern California, and they disinvited an activist for the LGBTQ community. He really should have been the one who speaks. I will be the first to admit it. He was an Oscar Award winner, a graduate of the school. I had no connection to the school. I clearly have never won and never will win an Oscar. And so they disinvited him. Students were really upset about it. And so the president of the college had heard me speak for the mayor's prayer breakfast. Before that, a couple years earlier, really wanted me to speak. And so pushed me into the spot, in a sense. Put me in the spot. And when the students found out, there was just like an uproar from a small group of the students, but really upset that this person they wanted to speak had been disinvited. So they went online to find a way to discredit me, and all they found were my sermons. And they took things out of context and basically, really came against me from that perspective. And long story short, we went through a long legal battle in the end, and God delivered and all of that. But it was really ugly. What I want to bring this back to social media, because again, it's about 11 years ago now that it all started. What social media did was add fuel to a fire in a way that if this had happened 20 years earlier, it couldn't have happened. It would have just been a little local thing, no big deal. It became international, national
Yeah,
news.
I remember hearing about it.
But social media can persecute in a way and that didn't exist before social media, your reputation. So a lot of people think, well, persecution is going to be the stake, or, I'm going to be scourged, or I'm going to be in prison, or I'm going to be killed. I want people to understand that the way social media works, persecution can actually come by simply the destruction of your reputation.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like a living record that's
And that's why
continuing.
young people need to be very, to your point earlier, very careful what they post.
Yeah.
They actually need to put as little up as possible, unless it's just a simple, clean statement.
It's true.
Yeah.
The less you put up is going to be the better in the long run. And so that damage to my reputation, the fact that they came at me that way, was as harmful, maybe more harmful than if I had been persecuted like they would have persecuted me during the Dark Ages. To make that point, there's a great book called The Heavenly Man. If no one's read that book, it's a great book.
Never heard of it.
Brother Yun, Y-U-N, Christian pastor in communist China, imprisoned, beaten, persecuted, horrible things happened to this man in communist China, all in the last 30 years. So it's not like old stuff. This is modern, history. And he says, after he came to North America, a journalist in California posted something saying that Brother Yun was a liar and what he's saying is not true, attacked his reputation. You know what Brother Yun says in that book? He says that was worse than all the persecution he received in communist China. What happened to him in North America around his reputation.
Wow.
I say that for people to begin to understand you're going to have to develop thick skin, right, around your reputation. We're going to have to be people who are not afraid to be disliked.
Right.
And right now, I don't know that the church is there yet. People want to be liked so bad that it will open the door to compromise.
Yeah.
And so, the social media thing makes that point. Brother Yun really makes that point. And I can tell you, it is one of the most uncomfortable things to be beat up like this and not be able to really, in any effective way, all at once, defend yourself.
Yeah, I heard that when the social media started to incorporate some of these tools with the like button and stuff like that, what they were really trying to do was find different ways to keep you on the platform. And like you said, the dopamine that you're getting released and stuff, like any drug, you need more and more and more, right? So you've got to find more reasons to get that little attaboy. And so, you are playing with the chemistry of your body. And even some of these social media sites, when they release something, and I saw this and it was amazing. This guy broke this down one time. Pay attention to this. They'll send you a funny video. They'll send you something that makes you mad. They'll send you something that goes, oh, that's cute. They'll send you something that's seductive. They'll send you something, and they rotate through these emotions so that you are actually on this emotional roller coaster. And that is something that's built into addiction in itself. So it's like if you're getting mad at somebody and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, and you're feeling good over here. It's like they constantly keep your emotions on this roller coaster, and that in itself is addicting.
That's right. Very true. I want to hit one more of these. This is the proportional risk of mental health problems by social media time among U.S. teens. And as you can see, the more social media exposure, the more likely you are to have mental health problems. And someone in my family, someone close to me, a teenager actually did commit suicide.
Due to social media.
And social media was a key part of it. From what we heard from the police, this person was this young girl, my little cousin of mine, was being bullied. And we even think that someone actually, and this is one of the reasons I do this talk, is that someone actually was coaching her as to how to do it. So someone she met online, her siblings said that they saw her going into the bathroom on the phone before this all happened. And the police said that there are people who literally target kids and will coach them into this from a distance.
Lord have mercy.
So I don't, obviously it's impossible to really know more than that because there's no way to talk to the people who did it, except to say, I mean, this thing, and that's where we're going to go now, it gets dark.
Yeah.
And I want people, Christian people, to know the devil only has he's limited. There are rules of engagement in the great controversy.
Ad break.
All right, I can do this. All right.
There are conventional ways of sharing the gospel, but some may need a different way of doing things.
Never mind.
A way that gets the message out with confidence.
Wow, cool shirt. What's it mean?
Oh, thank you. You know, we're all made with a unique fingerprint, but we're all God's artwork.
Wow, where'd you get it?
Lightwear, wear your witness.
When I was growing up, my mother was a single mother. I was a latchkey kid. I wore a shoestring with a key around my neck, literally, and went to school and back. My mother was a single mom, so she was at work. We'd open the door, shut the door, and my mother had one rule, and you both probably can figure out the rule. Do not open the door. When you get home, that's it. You stay inside. If someone knocks at the door, you do not open the door. Don't engage. Just leave them outside because, we lived in a suburb, but still, just there's no reason for you to answer the door. There was no Amazon back then. Nothing's coming. Just leave the door shut. Today, though, I can leave that door locked. And through television, through music, through social media, through the smartphone texting and chatting and so forth, I can open all kinds of doors to my children and to myself. As Christians, if we are going to be prepared for what is coming upon the world, the doors have to be shut.
Amen.
We cannot give the devil that kind of access to our families, to ourselves as adults. I think I like what you said, because a lot of times we talk about this and we talk to teenagers, but adults are just as able to become addicted to this stuff as anyone else.
They really are. I have had many conversations with even elderly people that are lonely. And, when giving a talk like this on this particular subject and talking about between the hours of 11 and 3 in the morning, you should not be paying attention to this blue light. It's like having damage on your circadian rhythms.
That's right.
And I had a sweet little lady come up to me and she was just like, I completely stay up all night long and do this. So it's not just the young people. It's like this can touch anyone and suck you into it.
And why does the devil want us sucked into this? Because just like, and I like that you brought up the point earlier, just as these tools can be used for evangelism, and we need to. I just heard from a pastor at a pastor's retreat, a pastor from South Carolina who uses Facebook advertising to invite people to evangelistic crusades. Certain radius, you can target people who, Facebook is very sophisticated. You can send them off from free books, hey, if you're, based on their interest on Facebook, a free copy of The Great Controversy or The Desire of Ages or whatever it is, you can find out who's really interested with much less work than you would have done, 40 years ago by targeting the people who already, there's evidence through Facebook, they would want this content. So you can use it for good, right? So that we have to say, but if it can be used for good, Satan has the advantage that he can lie, so he can actually, in a sense, in a multiplied fashion, use it for evil. And that's where I want us to go for the end of this. I want to submit that there are prophetically a few things that have to happen. We know that there is an apostate church, that those that have fallen away from the Bible, there are false revivals going on now. Social media is a big part of that. We know that, especially with the election of this last pope, there's a strengthening of the arm of Catholicism in the world, which is prophesied. And anyone here who doesn't know about those prophecies, reach out to us. We can get that to you.
Yeah, we've got a video we can put in the description about who the Antichrist is. And I do want to say that we're not saying this in any way to attack Catholics or anything like that. We're being respectful. We're just discussing Bible prophecy. The system. Yeah, we're not talking about genuine Catholic people.
My family, I have a lot of Catholic families,
Yeah,
so
same.
definitely not doing that. But the third arm of it is spiritualism.
Yeah.
That's from Revelation chapter 16. And we take that verse that says, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the dragon came 3 unclean spirits like frogs. Those are the 3 unclean spirits. Spiritualism is a big part of that because these things go and they seduce and deceive the kings of the world. If the devil is going to make spiritualism on par with the billions of Christians who are either, Protestant, Catholic, whatever they are, something radical has to happen in the world. And I want to submit to the audience, it's happening. Mm-hmm. It's happened, and we are on a breakthrough. So let me just show you that. So here, this is from Wired. It says TikTok has become the home of modern witchcraft.
Oh wow!
Oh,
and
100%.
And before you dive into this, I got to just tell you, I watched this breakdown of how TikTok actually works. Mind blowing. Do you know how long it'll take TikTok to figure you out?
You said 40 minutes, right?
40 minutes. Like it can know nothing about you, not a thing at all. And just by the way that you pause on what video, it can completely figure you out. And then what it does is so it shows you popular videos that could be in the millions or whatever like this. And based on which popular video you choose, it's like, oh wow, he likes dogs. So then it'll start sending you dogs. And then you click on one that's like, I like French bulldogs. And then all of a sudden it sends you nothing but French bulldogs. So if you stop and pause on something that's about witchcraft, it's going to go, oh, you have an interest in witchcraft. And then it's going to just do nothing but feed you witchcraft 40 minutes into the line.
Mm-hmm.
The fastest growing religion among young people in America is Wicca and witchcraft.
Yeah.
And I was just in the UK, and while I was in Canada earlier this summer, this thing is huge. One of the pastors in London told me this a few years back that for every Christian pastor in London, there are 30 witches.
Oh, wow.
And all weekend, these witches pray for the destruction of Christian churches. Wow. And he said, one of the, he couldn't make a matter of fact statement. He said, but possibly one of the evidences of this is that the churches in England are becoming pubs and mosques rather than churches anymore. That in fact, this is happening. One of the interesting things, and there's even men like Donald Trump, Putin, Charlie Kirk, people really find controversial, may or may not like. There are evidences that people actually are putting spells on all of these people as well. So let's say you don't like any of those three. Well, if they can put spells on them, they can put spells on anyone. Right? And so there is a new world where these things are unveiled. And we'll talk more about them in some other sessions, but these things are being unveiled and released onto society where spiritualism. So let me look at I have a couple more of these. Witch Talk, the witchcraft videos with billions of views. Billions of views.
Crazy.
And it's called Witch Talk, not TikTok. It's inside TikTok. Wow. So they call it Witch Talk. And so here's one, Witch Talk. The rise of the occult on social media has eerie parallels with the 16th century.
I remember a while ago, I was working on some kind of video. I don't even remember what topic it was on. It was an LD Live show. And I was looking for some videos on witchcraft and social media. And I remember just seeing this girl who was like, yeah, and so here's my crystals, and here's like my tarot cards. And they made it look like it was like, it's just like this cutesy thing that we're just going to do, And I was like, well, that's witchcraft. And like back in the heyday, like, the Salem witch trials, like people were not having it, I'm not saying we should do that now, but what I'm saying is that the mindset of people has completely shifted. It's popular now to become witches, like you said, because of TikTok.
One of the things that fueled this during the COVID and the shutdown was people felt powerless. And they say that as they were home digging around on the internet, and this stuff's just like prevalent all over the place, it was like offering you power for, like something where like now I can control this. And that's really what it's about. It's like, I want to control the elements. I want to control the things. And I mean, it's really taking the miracles and the position that God has for us away from God and going, I'm going to put it in my own hands.
Yep.
Well, it's been served to society. We did one on just spiritualism. It starts with shows like Bewitched.
Yeah,
I was listening to C.D. Brooks preaching from like the 70s, and he brought that up. He's like, Bewitched and the ghosts next door or something. And he was naming some of these TV shows that seemed relatively
Scooby-Doo,
innocent.
and all that stuff.
Scooby-Doo, I watched Scooby-Doo.
Right? So, and Scooby-Doo changed. At first, it was always a hoax. The first few seasons, then it was real. Real ghosts and real stuff by the end of the show, or by the reiteration of the show. So it was served in, but that just exposed you to it, gave you interest in it. What social media has done is found a way to make you participate in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember I grew up on Harry Potter. Like I was younger and Harry Potter came out for the first time. And then after watching the movies, we started going to the library and reading the books. And then we got the video games. And now I was doing it in the video games. And in my mind, I wanted to be like Harry Potter. I was actually saying out loud these spells that I was supposed to do in the video games because it becomes real, you know? And the same thing here. Now, they're teaching you how to actually do it. So it's one step further, which back then, yeah, you did it in a video game and it made me do it technically, like just say the spells. But now it's like, no, we're actually going to teach you how you can do it.
Well, it is to get people to participate in this is the devil's goal. And here's the irony. There are many people who call themselves Christians who are also messing with the crystals and the spells. And I say this kind of as a joke in my sermons, but I literally walked into one of the clinics I was managing a few years ago, and there was a spell written above the coffee machine.
Oh, wow.
So I walk into the break room of this clinic, and the coffee machine is sitting here, and I don't own the clinics. I just worked there too. I was the medical director, so I don't anybody think I had too much to do with this. But I walk in, and above it is a spell written out, and it talks about if you turn the coffee this way and do this and do this and do this, it'll make you have a blessed, like a whatever day. There was a word they used, it wasn't blessed, and you'll have a good day, basically. And I'm sitting there like, what? This is an actual, like, and the Spirit of the Lord was like, this is real witchcraft. This isn't, someone here is actually practicing witchcraft. This is the introduction to everyone else who works here. Man, I ripped that thing off the wall so fast. And in the sermon, I was joking, I wanted to go get like a super soaker gun and fill it with oil, pray over the oil, and then anoint the whole place with oil with a super soaker gun. Because this thing has gotten really real. It's big. It's billions. I mean, last time I checked, I think it was 70 or 80 billion views of these things. And they teach spells. They teach. Now, and Harry Potter, just to use that as an example, those are real spells.
Yeah, that's what I've
J.K.
heard.
Rowling, those are real spells. The characters just appeared to her like the Twilight person. This is, so it's no longer play stuff. And again, so I want to really warn families, parents, a lot of them give their kids a phone and not really think about what happens afterwards. You have got to have programs on the phone and on your phone that watches what they do. You got to sometimes put two of them on because the kids are so smart. They can get around their parents. Like they're smart enough to know how to have you watching them on their phone and still do what they want. So you got to really be sophisticated as a parent. You need to take the phone. No child should go to bed with their phone.
That's right.
At 6 or 7 o'clock when they're home with you. They don't need to talk to anybody else. Take the phone, put it in a drawer, give their mind, body, and eyes so that they get good sleep. Give them a break from the phone overnight. If your child can't separate with the phone at 6 o'clock, they should not have a phone. Because that means they're already too addicted to the phone, and you've got to not allow that to happen. So you got to shut this stuff down. You've got to be the parent. I was at a camp meeting this summer speaking, and one of the parents, we were doing a question and answer with one of the other pastors. One of the parents said, "Well, if we take away their phones, the child will cancel us." And my thought is, man, I wish that kid had my mother. My mother, my mother would have canceled you. You would cancel her. But we have to be parents. This is not the time to shriek. And here's it goes again. You want your kid to like you. You might get your kid to like you, but you won't get them to respect you. And ultimately, if you really love your child, it's okay to be disliked for the moment, for their long-term betterment.
Right. And for them to understand that there are some safety guards that you as a parent should build into them. I mean, if you told your kid, like, if you play with this one thing, you have a very highly likelihood that you're going to become a gambling addict in your life, right? What parent in their right mind would be like, it's fine, just play with it? They're going to build some safety into it. And I think that we've lost that ability as a society to say, hey, let's build some safeguards around here. This should not be something that you're staring at for 11 hours out of the day. And let's build some family time and dinner time. And we do that in my house too. My kids don't have phones and stuff like that yet. They got an iPad that they'll do schoolwork and stuff like that on, and but no actual phone yet. And I have a no technology rule at the table. Like, that's our family time. We enter in as a family. Don't bring that stuff when we're doing worship and those kind of things. Like, you build the times to say, nope, this is our sacred time as a family to to interact with each other.
Well, and I think it's also that kids watch or act like their parents act. So if parents are watching YouTube all day or Facebook or whatever, and then tell the child, well, you should not do that, then that's very quickly going to seem unfair to the child. So yeah, my husband and I were talking about it because at some point, we might want to have kids, and we were like, we need to make sure that now we start practicing less and less of the phone, because we believe when we have kids, we don't want them to have any interaction with technology whatsoever until they're the right age.
Right.
I grew up mostly playing outside, playing with Legos, playing with the Barbie dolls, and I'm thankful for that. I did watch a lot of TV and video games, but still I was outside a lot. Social media didn't come in until I was in my teens. And I can see the benefit of that. And I can see it for myself. When I put down my phone and I go read a book or like spend some time with my husband, like just do a puzzle, it's so much better. I mean, it might sound old fashioned to some people, but I love puzzles. It's great for the brain.
You both are hitting on something I think I also want to really emphasize for the audience, that where social media may be as damaging, if not more damaging than the actual horrible content we've discussed, its impact on depression and anxiety, is that like a plate of food, if you pile up the plate with jelly beans, there's no space for broccoli.
Right.
Right? So if this is what you're feeding the family, you lose the space for good family time. And the word that you use that I want to emphasize and kind of highlight as we go into kind of just some verses and stuff to close out is worship.
Yeah.
What do we worship?
Yeah.
And the phone itself, social media itself, my image that I'm trying to project to others, all of that can become an idol.
Yep.
And take away from true worship and the ability to truly worship.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's lacking, and I think there's been a move from the top of the church about going back to the altar. I think Dwayne has been at the Ellen G. White Estate has brought this up. We have got to go back to the altar. And I want to encourage those who are watching, strongly encourage you, if you're not having good family worship, but there's plenty of time on phones, cancel phone time, cancel TV time, cancel Netflix, and spend an hour and a half daily in worship with your family, morning and evening. Spend time, come up with an actual, and if you can't do it by yourself, talk to other people in the church, look it up online, talk to your pastor, hopefully they can help you, but set up an intentional curriculum around family worship. Family worship isn't just hit or miss, it is a curriculum. You want in a year, and if you're just a married couple, no kids, you want in a year to say, all right, by the end of this year, we're going to understand these key things out of the Bible, or we're going to have studied these books, the writings of Paul. We're going to really know who Paul was by the end of this year. I encourage you in intentionality because social media steals intentionality.
I believe that.
Yep. With our family, we kind of even bounce it around. Sometimes we let the kids lead out in it, and it's really funny because we've done it for so long and so many times that our animals, we have a dog and a cat, they will come at that time and they enter into the worship with us. Like they're literally there like all the time. And to me, it's just like we've built that into our kids as growing up, and you want to instill that into them so that they'll carry that on when they get out of the house. I mean, 18 years goes by super quick. I'm already counting the days that like my daughter's gonna be out on her own, and I'm just like, wow, whatever I say now is gonna be very important to her life down the road. So build those habits in there now. And if you don't know, like you said, just ask God, show me what I should do or how I should treat this, and you'll see it's an amazing thing to glue your family together.
Amen. And I would emphasize as well that this that time together in family worship is time that is eternal time.
Yep.
When we get to heaven, that time is still going to have mattered.
That's right.
So I can't overemphasize that. I want to also emphasize something I've been talking about all year is prayer.
Yep.
And attending prayer meeting at your local church. I want to encourage people because, again, one of the big drains of social media is time. I really want to encourage people to go to prayer meeting on Wednesday night or Tuesday night if your church does it then. Go and pray with the brethren. It's a different experience than Sabbath service. It will bolster not only you, your family, but your church.
Good point.
So I want to really encourage that as well. So let's not lose time. And so some people say, well, listen, I don't know if my family's too far gone. I'm worried about my kids. There are those whose kids are already out of the house and they're no longer going to church. This is something we hear everywhere we go. Isaiah 49 and verse 25 says this. But thus saith the Lord, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contends with you, and I will save your children.
Amen.
That is a promise.
That is a promise. And I want to, because there's somebody that's watching this that may say, my kids no longer want to go to church. Maybe they're still under the age of 18. Maybe they're in their 20s or 30s. They've already left the house. I want to encourage you that you can continue to pray for your child. The impact of social media is strong, but it pales in comparison to what the Holy Spirit can do.
Amen.
The Holy Spirit can still move hearts. And when you pray, Roger Murnau talks about this in his books, Incredible Answers to Prayers. Pray and say, Lord, I give you permission to work on the heart of this young person, on my child, on my grandchild, on my nephew, niece, church member's child, whatever it is. I give you permission because the devil's going to say, you have no right to this child.
Yep.
Jesus, no right to this child because this child doesn't want anything to do with you. They're into Dungeons and Dragons and Harry Potter. They want nothing to do with you. But what God can respond and say, but no, one of my own says, I can work on this child.
Yeah.
And those rules of engagement apply, and God can begin to work on that child. And that's why I kind of want to make sure we leave with the hope that, look, God still fixes things.
That's
Amen.
right. Amen. And we've done a couple pieces on our channel about spiritual warfare. We had a guy, David Ung, that came on and talked about phenomenal,
yes.
and talked about just spiritual warfare. And Tim Maddox also talked about it. And what was interesting was they brought up the concept of like generational curses, right? So these are things that the devil lays claim on this family because, hey, guess what? Their grandparents were into witchcraft, so now I can mess with them and down the line, right? But think about this from the reverse. God's very fair, right? What if you're on God's side? Now, you can pray that God has victory with your children. Hey, look, God, I'm serving you and I'm doing this. Help win this down the road with my children and their children. And take this verse right here at Isaiah 49 and just say, I'm holding this to you, God. This is a promise. You told me you would save my children, and I believe that God is a man of his word.
I call it the legacy of faith, and you see it in 2 Timothy, I think it's chapter 1 and verse 5. He says to Timothy, he says, and I know the unfeigned faith, speaking to Timothy, that is in you, that was in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice.
Good example.
Speaks of the legacy of faith. And I say to young people, when I talk to young people, I say, do not squander that legacy.
Yep.
That is a powerful legacy.
Yep.
And some of you just came into the church. You don't have generations of Christians behind you or Adventists behind you. That's fine. Start the legacy.
That's right.
Right? And for those of us who were raised second, third, fourth generations in this church, those numbers mean nothing if it is not, if you're not in Christ, empowered by the Holy Spirit.
That's right.
That's the legacy. And so I like how you said it. It works in reverse. And so, we talk a lot about social media. It is ubiquitous. It's dangerous, but it still pales in comparison to the power of our God.
Amen.
One other verse I wanted to just to speak to social media, Luke 9:23. And he said unto them, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. So I look at this as the mandate on how to interact with the world and social media and everything else is, I've got to deny myself because it feels really good to sit there and scroll and be entertained by these little short videos. And we didn't talk about this, but the average attention span has just shrunk down. They said that when YouTube and stuff first came out, the videos were 45 minutes an hour and people would watch them. And now they've come up with YouTube Shorts and
like 1 minute
Shorts because the videos have to be shorter and shorter and shorter because people just can't watch long. And it's just a deluge of stuff. I can't, like everybody's face, it's just too much information. It's just too much information. Yeah. So we do need to deny ourselves, take up our cross, and follow Jesus.
A good thing to keep in mind is when you're using social media, just pay attention to how you use it. Are you using it by looking at constantly your own things or your own life, or you're comparing it or whatever? Or are you using it to bless other people? You can take that same technology and go, you know what? Eric Walsh gave this amazing sermon over here, and I need to share this with somebody over here. Like, this would be a blessing to you in your life. If you're using it to pass information around, that is a great use of the technology, and just be cognizant of that. It's like, use whatever you have to share and spread God's message. He is giving a last message of mercy.
Amen.
And as you, I'm sure everybody will agree, we are speeding towards the end, like on a bullet train, and we've got moments left to talk.
And I think sharing, that's one of the other good points to highlight. Share when you find good things. So like David Ng's stuff, I sent that to everybody, because I said, listen, there's a lot of families that don't know why, certain things are happening.
Yeah, or how to deal with it.
Or how to deal with it. And his testimony and his the 6-part one that was on Audioverse first, and then now there's a 3-part one. I was like, people need to see this. Right. Adventists need to see this. They have to understand where we really are in the spiritual warfare, and so they can begin to arm themselves. Because again, I think the enemy is only going to get more brazen, more bold, more direct, more dangerous.
Yep, that's right.